Hi, good afternoon. This is Think for a Moment, ALK, and we'll be talking about some topic tonight. I'm sort of shooting from, they always say the old saying, shooting from the hip, because there's so much to cover and you don't know what to talk about, but we never fail to have something to talk about. So tonight we're going to take it a little slow and a little easy. The main thing I've been looking at the news. I've been looking at some of the politicians going back to their district and holding town meeting and doing different things. I look at both sides of the Republican and Democratic. It's sort of confusing and dealing with and seeing what the people might want or what they're trying to ask the politicians. But I would tell people that you got to be careful for how you vote and who you vote for. So now, what we at today, it only due to one person, and I don't know. And sometimes, other than Jesus Christ, only one person that changed the whole world. So it seems like this president sort of got the whole country, the whole world in a shape up or shake up. So we're looking at that, and you I believe that we're giving this one person too much power, too much thought of who he really is. He is the president of the United States. He's there to serve the people and no one else. And we have to come to reality saying that, okay, how long can this go? And how long can, first of all, for the Republican to sit in Congress and do nothing? There's always some guard. There are always things that they can do. But I believe that when we look at the situation and look at all the executive orders and everything taking place, and everybody in different positions and doing different things. So the most critical thing is understanding people. Now, in today's time, and looking at the politician, we're not too much gonna focus on us as being citizens and consumer. There's a lot of things that we have to deal with, but for politicians or our leaders to sit back and do anything and just rest and wherever they rested in. But for the Democrat, I look at one of the not gonna call the name, but one of the town meeting for the Democrat, and I watched that, and I'm gonna talk about Republican as well, town meeting. But I watched that and looked at it very closely, and the most confusing thing for me is if you're there at a Democratic town hall, there's two things you have to go in there and think. One, the Democratic hands is sort of tied, and most people say you can protest, you can speak, you can speak against it, you can have somewhat a meeting, you can have put out a statement, you can do a press conference, and you can do all of that. But it still come back to this one thing that Republicans have control of the House, the Senate, and the presidential, and as well, pretty much the judge. And I think the judges for holding fair to what they raise their hand for. When they faithfully say, "Hey, I will uphold the Constitution of the United States," that's the thing of the judge, and I thank God for them. But back to the Democratic town meeting, I watched one. I'm not gonna call them names. I don't like really talking about putting a name to as we talking about Amen. But we just have to deal with those things and say, hey, if you're at a Democratic town meeting, what are you complaining about? Or what do you, in other words, what do you want the discussion to be like? So we try to find ourselves when we vote for Democrat. Yes, we voted for them, but their hands are tied. I don't know why you can get upset with them because yes, you can ask questions, but you don't got a hand. Now on the Republican side, they have a lot to be fussing about and a lot to talk about because they're a person that they choose to put into office doing the opposite of what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be lowering prices. He's supposed to be making the United States greater, but seemed like he turned it apart. So most people say, well, how would it turn out? Well, the same way it started. If it started in a mess, it'll turn out to be a mess. But so with dealing with that, with the Democratic, we have to have the confidence enough to stand by our politician. Now, yes, we can fuss, but I don't know what we fussing about because when we were well, Democratic in office, was nobody saying nothing, was nobody complaining. So our goal was that if the last administration wasn't doing enough, that's the time we should have been speaking out, not for speaking out when it's time to vote. You can't speak out when it's time to vote. You ought to speak out like as the Republican on that side is speaking out now against their politician or their leaders. Now I'm not jumping on Republicans saying that they're doing the best. They're not doing their best because they sitting and letting the president do whatever he wants to. Here go the candy president, suck on it and it'll be fine. We got your back. But then on the Democrat side, the citizen that voted for Democratic, we anyway the Democratic laws. That's the main thing. The laws for lack of votes or lack of everything else. But the big one thing that I realize and understand, even when I was in the military, you cannot please everybody. It just ain't gonna do it. You might get them pleased in some area, but you're not gonna 100% please everybody on everything. So you got to take a little, give a little, and just and hope that it satisfies people enough that they'll vote for you again. So they saying Democrats is not doing enough, and I'm very independent. I'm touching on both sides. You know, if they're not doing enough, and they have to have somewhat a turnaround. We still got to support them. We still got to stand by them because they're in a predicament and people want them to do so much. They want to fuss, and they discussing different things that do they really understand what they asking the Democrat? They asking the Democrat, to be honest with you, to take their limb off their body and give it to them, which they can't do it. They are tired. When we go 2026 and the time to vote, we should have 100%. I don't care what color, black, white, Hispanic. If you're not satisfied with this present administration, you vote accordingly. That you can have some of the things that you can be successful in life. But the way things go, people still don't understand. We coming off a pandemic. Yes, the last administration, President Biden, they did a great job, but there was so much they could work with. Now, the biggest thing that you have to think that they didn't have control of everything because Congress can pass law, but then the Senate have to pass it in the Senate. So you're still in a conflict. You're still having problems. You're still going through a lot of things. Most people look at the last administration that they didn't get enough done for me. Well, you have to look at it. What could they do? Even with paying off the student debt. You know, they got blocked with that because they took it to their court system. Most of the stuff that they try to get done, the court system blocked that. So we have to look at all of that. We also look at the Democrat trying to excuse President Trump as the president and send him to jail. But the court system was sort of messy. And that's what the major thing. They was doing what they supposed to be doing. They tried their best. But you can't do nothing when the Senate is not in agreement and they Republican led. That was a fight that they got defeated in. So you have to realize that, and you have to be strong in what you do and how you're doing it. So I say just hold fast to what you got. No, be friendly. The shouting match. I tell both sides. Most of the Democrats they shouting, they wasting they voice because if you want to do something, you get out there protest. You want to shout, but don't shout at your party when they ain't got you know they ain't got no chance really. They can take them to court and whatsoever, but then you got to look at the court system. You know, some of these cases gonna be still going on. Be still be going on when the next administration come in 4 years later. The still cases still gonna be going on because that's how long it seems like it gonna take. So we have to look at all of that. So back to Republicans. You know, I said they are scared or afraid that they trying to win the 2026 because most of them probably get bold when they win in 2026 because then they got an extra 4 years and some of them six. I don't know, but they'll probably get more bolder because now they're trying to hold on. But sometimes you have to speak up and talk to your district campaign in your district, the one that voted for you, and that's what you have to do. You have to campaign in your district, let them know what's going on. I don't agree with this, and you just keep it at that. You know, you have to talk to the people, but for the situation that we got going now, it's just, I never seen that the United States would be where we at today. Even with me being in the army and everything that we have fought for, and all the challenges that we have stood for, trying to keep this democracy afloat and trying to let the world know that this democracy do work. But we have to still face the fight that somewhere we went wrong. And you said, how did we go wrong? We have to look at one, our people that we put in office, and sometimes I just don't understand. I understand, but in a way, you have to look at things how they're going that you don't understand. If that much power is so important that when you get that power, you're gonna be on the end of the stick. So you fight for something other that you'll never have that power, you never have that control of. So we have to do what's right, regardless if you stay in office, you don't. You have to do what's right for the people, for the benefit of this country, because we are a country, we are a people, we are citizens of this nation, and I like where I'm at. I like the United States. I wouldn't go to no other place, even though my ancestors started in Africa. I wouldn't go there because this is my country. I consider that this is my country. This is the country I fought for. This is the country I was willing to spill my blood on on other people's soil to keep this democracy going. So for me, we yes we need some changes, but the people heart is so different from it's anything. It's even hard to describe when you can see things so plainly, but this group of collective people sit together, and you can't say nothing to pull them out of where they at. That's a complicated thing. You cannot pull them out where they at. Now, for me, I would tell most of the voters, you have to sit down and look at the situation. You have to sit down and say, hey, do I want this country to be better than, than what we've been the last, I'm going to say the last 100 days? I'm not saying the last administration was the greatest, but they did do some great things. The biggest thing, they didn't have all this drama and all this nonsense going on. Now we got so many problems, so many issues. It's just like if you look at the pandemic versus now, I think right now is worse than the pandemic. Even though we are not losing lives, and I thank God that we're not losing lives, but we have lost some. But I'm saying new lives like we were losing like during the pandemic. But now we losing lives for no reason. Just like for the airport, losing lives. Just like military personnel. We're not eating in war, but we were losing people. So we have to look at that. This is worse when you lose people for no cause, when you don't have to lose lives, when things don't have to be the way it is. You got people committing suicide because they don't know the end. You got people doing anything, killing each other. We got a battle. So what we have to do, we have to look back and and just assess, you know, analyze what we need to go and how we need to do it. So we've got a long road. Hopefully, that long road won't be until 2026. It might be hard to do it, but sometimes you have to. And most people don't think that, hey, what can we do? And I just hope that we have both houses, you know, the legislature and the Senate. And I hope we do. When I mean we, I mean this nation, this country. I'm not talking about being Democrat or Republican. I'm talking about the citizen of the United States coming together, voting for the people that gonna get us out of this situation. Because we don't need no more of this. We don't need 2 more years of this. We don't need 8 more years of this. We just need to dismantle. I would say get get the MAGA, whatever they want to call themselves, get them out of the system of the government because they are very corrupt. We got people running the government that shouldn't be nowhere near it. But that's what we're dealing with. We should just go down the line and just start getting rid of the people. When you start dealing with I seen on the cash and headset was talking about the army. Man, I was in this army and it not so long ago in 2021 I was in the army. Think about it. Now it's 2025 now. I just been out of the army 4 years and I served my country faithfully. And now he coming out with a bright idea to make soldiers more. I'm gonna say make soldiers more popular than having journalists in the army. And that's one of the craziest thing that I heard of. If you want to make the army stronger, you get soldiers enlisted. You can't take away knowledge, yeah, and you can't take away the understanding of the army. You can't take away generals that know countries that can go into battle at any given time and lead a force. You don't want to get rid of the journal, the 5 star. Yeah, it might be more than enough. It might be some that not even in a command, but we need that knowledge. We need that knowledge in the Pentagon. We don't need no soldiers running around thinking they running everything or running things because it's a mess if you do that, and that's already a mess. And he talking about getting rid of journals and put more soldiers in the operation. And I'm not knocking soldiers because I had soldiers underneath me, and I'm not knocking them. But when it comes down to leadership, you need leadership to lead force. A force can't be led if you don't have no leader. I don't care where we go. Any other country that we go to, they always got a leader. They always got a president or dictatorship or whatever dictator or whatever they got. They got a leader. So when you start taking the leader out of the army, we very much in trouble. Our victory changes now. Because that inner war that I participated in, I said we had a 90% chance of winning. And when I said 90%, 10% always adapting to how the enemy is fighting you. So you always have to adapt. But you can go out with the best plan. You can have it down and op orders sound good and the forces at the right place. But it's not necessarily changing. It always constantly changing. Fragile is always happening, and that's what we have to realize when it comes to defense with the army. And when I heard that, and I was like, this country is getting ready to fail much if we don't figure out the way how to smooth them out of office, how to get them. That's why I'm hoping that Democratic win the House. That can help a lot. That can stop a lot of the things. House and the Senate, stop it. Either one that we have, we still can stop it. We still can have control. We still can control things. But it'd be nice to have both of them. But then we have to make those decisions, the hard decisions, tough decisions. And I'm not going to say it, but we have to make that tough decision because the way we are now with the turrets are crazy. I don't know why we fighting against turrets because it's a choice of every business that buy goods from China. It's a choice for everyone that if you want to buy from Taiwan or Japan or whoever. It's the store choices. It's the CEO, whoever they order from and buy goods from. If they want to start a factory, that's fine. That's their free trade. That's their choice. Do we want manufacturers to be here? Yes, but we have to do it in a way that this company is saying that okay, we want to expand. That's fine. If Japan don't want to move their company in the United States, that's fine. It's up to us to buy their good. But then we have to remember, which is the crazy part, if they're allied to us, we should be easy and willing to suffer that they are sending their goods what we can buy. It's very reasonable. It's up to our stores, our the company, the business that here sell it at a reasonable price, and that's what we have to deal with, and that's what I would deal with being being into as the president. I would deal with these prices because it don't take a rocket scientist to do anything. As this president, he all these executive orders. He can do executive order the direct the prices to low. Since they all there with him, all the millionaire, billionaires, and everything. But I think that we need a major shift. And protesting, yes, that's great. We got to make a major shift, saying that if one party is doing good, that party has to stay in the vicinity of leading this country. Because right now we only have one decent party as of now, I'm not saying all Republican leaders is bad. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying all Democratic leaders are good. But the one thing I understand that we got to have the two to come together. If they don't come together, we are so in a mess, and it's just a tragic because the greatest thing that we have, I think, is like, if I'm not mistaken, my history might not be right, or my study might be right. 435 or so plus people in Congress. Then we have Senate 50. If those 100 people cannot come together and make a decent plan that'll work for the country, we are in bad shape. That's the terrible place to be at when you got two parties that can't talk, can't even conversate with each other. You know, Republicans just lying on Democratic trying to hold fast and speak the truth and battle with Daryl Bishop, and it is so much. But I believe that the two parties got to come together and mend together. And we miss some of the old people that were in Congress, which have passed away. But how can we identify with no teamwork, no working together? And we should, regardless of who the president, you know, we should work together. Each party should always work together. Now, is everything gonna be bipartisan? Yes, it should, because we're a country. It said the United States. So at some point, we have to come together and work together. It says completely the United States, and that's it. We should work together. The two parties will never be bipartisan. You should always do things together. And most people say, well, they're not doing helping us, they're not doing this. But we should be the United States working together. And then before I get off and I'm looking at this, we are the United States. And as I've been knowing and watching this country and paying attention, every state is so different. I don't know why is that. This is the United States, meaning that we unify together, we work together. We should be closer alike. That's why it's so much agony, so much arguing, so much fighting, because we're so different, and we should be united. In a crisis like this, we should be united, and that's why I say in this verse that we was I like my country, the United States. That's the subject tonight. But when you watch this video, you watch the whole, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get more people to watch, trying to get the people on and try to ask them questions, what they're going, what they're facing, try to help them along the way. But I see that if the people don't survive and stay focused and hold fast for 2026, we'll still be stuck in this predicament. You got to get out and vote. I'm not telling you to vote Republican or Democrat, but what I'm telling you, vote for the truth, vote for unity, vote for this nation to pick up what left off of being successful and not going downhill, not fighting against our ally, not turning our backs against the people that support us these many years, holding fast, building this country up. We still the strongest country in the world, and we want to stay there. We don't want no other country. We don't want to take no other country away. We don't want Canada. Don't want Greenland. We don't want Ukraine. We don't want no country. We want to support them, that they can be our ally to support us, because we cannot do it alone. We cannot do this alone in this world. It's all working together. But I hope you have a good night. Just invite somebody, just tell them to watch it, subscribe to me, and we'll sit down and think for a moment. Have a great night, and I'll see you next Monday.